Bayero. I'm the daughter of the late Emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Alhaji Bayero. And my mom is Princess Hawa Momo from Momo Dynasty in Edo State. I was born in Kano, raised in Kano, and I'm a first-time filmmaker. I recently directed a documentary chronicling my father's life and times. And I'm someone who is a creative naturally. I love to write. I love to read. And recently I've been in the news for more personal issues, which I never imagined would happen, but I guess sometimes life kind of throws you a curveball. And I had no choice but to speak out in certain sensitive and personal issues that I've been going through. But basically, I'm someone who's a feminist. I believe in equal rights. I believe in standing up for myself and speaking up if I'm being oppressed or if I'm being intimidated. No, I didn't. The truth is, I've just grown up watching movies, and I've always been a movie buff. And I never actually imagined that I would go into movie making. Like I said, it's like destiny kind of changes in different times, and you never know what path you're going to be on. But when I was much younger, I actually thought that I would be a doctor, because I really admired people who saved lives and healed the sick, because I'm a very caring person. And later on, I kind of decided, okay, I would study law. With law, I could be in the justice system and also help people who were maybe being oppressed. I've always wanted to give voice to the voiceless, help people who are powerless. And unfortunately, I think right now I'm kind of in that situation. So growing up, I never thought that I would be in a helpless situation, but I'm trying very hard not to be helpless, to speak up and be powerful in my own way. And I think my voice is definitely my power, especially as a woman. As a Muslim woman, that's even 100 times harder, because we're not brought up in a way or in a society where a woman's voice is supposed to be heard or supposed to be that active. And I choose to be a vocal person. I choose to be someone who fights for my rights, and I choose to live my life on my own terms. I actually didn't think that I would be in the movie industry or the arts, but 2 years ago, at that point in my life, I just really gravitated towards movies, and I wanted to tell a story. I wanted to have something on the screen to be part of the theatrical experience, because movies can be so entertaining. They're a form of escapism, and I know that in very dark moments in my life, I've had movies that really made me feel so inspired and made me feel ecstatic. So I decided that if I'm part of this industry, that I could give that feeling that I got from movies to someone else. And I don't come from a family that's known for the arts or for something like this. And even though I felt that maybe it would be an issue, I just decided that this is a passion of mine, and I decided that I needed to do this because in my heart, I wanted to tell a story. I wanted to have a story of mine on the screen and people to watch and feel something. Even if you hate it, you love it, you're indifferent to it, but you just get out of the cinema and you say, okay, that was something, that was celluloid. You know, I wanted to be part of that world because growing up, it's something that really moved me in so many ways, because I love stories, whether it's reading or watching stories just really make me feel so good, and they kind of transport me to a different world. And sometimes I just want to escape reality, and that's just why I decided to do this. When I was much younger, I was about 3 to 4, my mom and my late maternal granddad, who was an Otharo in Auchi, Edo State, we took a trip to London. And when we were there for about a year and a half. So my mom decided that I needed to be in school. And so I was in school in St. John's Wood for a year. And then when we came back to Kano, I attended a private school in Kano. It's no more existing. It was called Samadhi International School. And I also went to the secondary school. So that was my educational level. When I wanted to pursue a degree in law, some issues came up and I couldn't continue. I applied when I was done with my secondary school, and I intended to go back to the UK to complete my education, because I really wanted to study the law in a very sophisticated university and stuff like that. So I applied to some and I got accepted, and at the point when I was supposed to make the payment and go back, some drama came up in the family, so that kind of stifled my academic process. Yeah. You see, my dad was a great man. I loved him. I still do. But the relationship at a point was complex. It's not that... the thing is, I don't want to get too deep. But I know that at some point I'm going to have to go into details. But I'm thinking of writing a memoir, actually, where I tell more about what happened in my life and my mom's life. I actually think it's going to be a page turner, because my life is kind of amazing and tragic in a lot of ways. And the greatest biographies and memoirs are about stories like that. Recently, I've got into reading biographies more. I was also more into fiction, but these days, as I get older, I'm reading biographies, and I recently read 2 about very powerful women, Sharon Stone and Britney Spears. And when I read about what they went through, it was so inspiring to me. They didn't leave any stone unturned. They talked about the uncomfortable situations they were in, the craziest things you could ever imagine. They just laid all out there. I mean, they, wore their heart on their sleeves, and they said the good, the bad, and the ugly, And when I read the stories on the last pages, I was like, wow, now this is what powerful women are made of. You go through the highs and the lows, but it's how you come out of it that matters. So I decided that, my story needs to be told too. Yeah. And it's not something that I can tell in a 15-minute or 20-minute interview. I think it's something that I need to write about, and the world can judge and, decide for themselves what my story is. He's not someone that I could really stand up to tell you the truth. I was terrified of my dad sometimes, to tell you the truth, because, like I said, he was a monarch who was very intimidating and powerful. So being a young woman then, and I wasn't always this strong and tough like you see today. I don't know if I am, but I believe I am, because back then I was in the north, coming back from London and being raised in the north, where gender roles in society are clearly defined, like you just said. women, there are certain rules and rules they're supposed to follow in religion and the culture. So I kind of, there were parts of me that I suppressed, that I wasn't really comfortable showcasing back then, because I felt that it would rub people the wrong ways, the society. I was so shy. I was submissive at that point, but deep down I knew that wasn't the girl I wanted to be, or the woman that I wanted to be. There was another side of me screaming to just let itself out. I wanted to be free of inhibitions and just live life and express myself. But I wasn't in a society that was comfortable with that. I was in a very conservative society, the daughter of a very conservative monarch. So of course there are some things that I wasn't able to express, because if I did that, I would be seen as the weirdo or the misfit. Even though I was trying to play the game, I was still seen as a misfit, because sometimes I braid my hair, like you can see. Sometimes, even though back then I was wearing the veil and hijab, but beneath the veil I would have braids on, and I would wear jeans and stuff. I would wear jeans under my abaya and stuff like that. So back then, it was considered like, what's this? What are you doing? I know some people say, oh, but northern girls wear jeans all the time. Back then, they weren't. Back then, when I was growing up in Kano, northern girls weren't wearing jeans. They weren't, removing their veils and stuff. Even to today, you can see it's still the society where, I'm being judged for that. So at the same time, I think my father, I can't really explain what was going on in his mind, but I think, yes, like you said, he wanted me to be that typical northern woman, to follow the rules. But I think he knew deep down that my mom, being from another part of Nigeria, even though she's a Muslim, that I was not going to be that girl. And I think maybe the family kind of put it in his head, maybe that, okay, if you let this girl fly the way she wants to and let her soar, she's going to change the rules. So maybe that's one of the reasons that he became hesitant or something. I believe maybe that was one of the reasons that happened. In 2022, that was in December, I said to my mom, I was like, I want to do a documentary. And she was like, really? Why? I was like, I just want to tell a story. I want to do something in my life. I want to be a filmmaker. And I had different ideas, about 3 different ideas. And my mom was like, these are all great ideas, but I think you should do something about your dad. And I was like, no, don't tell me to do that. And she was like, why? Your dad's story hasn't been told. He was a great man. He was a great monarch. You need to tell his story. I was like, no, I don't want to start my career telling my dad's story. I'm going to be seen as riding on the coattails of my dad's famous name. Everyone's going to judge, oh, she's a Nepo baby, nepotism. She's getting fame with her father's name. I said I wanted to make my own name, because I think every kid who comes from like a famous family, we always have that fear that we're going to be judged and scrutinized based on our parents' achievements. I mean, I've seen that a lot, even in the foreign world. I think that's one of the reasons Angelina Jolie dropped her father's name, because she wanted to be known as a serious actress, not about being the daughter of a Hollywood, superstar or stuff like that. So my mom was like, no, you can't think like that. People are always going to judge. So just tell your father's story. I was like, I know it's going to lead to more controversy. It's going to lead to a lot of craziness, because I wanted to just leave my family behind, my family name, my family drama. I just wanted to move on from all that, because I knew that the emirate and the family were going to make a fuss about me telling my father's story. I knew without a doubt they would, because I know the kind of men they are. I know the kind of people they are. And I wanted to move past all that. But then I decided, okay, maybe I should give it a try. Maybe it would end well. Maybe it's the right step for me. So I began the journey. So I researched about him like any other figure, because he ruled even long before I was born. And he did have an incredible life. I think it's a story that a lot of people would want to tell, because he ascended the throne at a very critical point in Nigeria's history. That is 1963. This was 3 years into the independence, a year before the Civil War, and he really had remarkable contributions in these decades until his demise. So I decided that, okay, this is a great story to tell, but I was a bit scared of the backlash that would follow. And when it started, I was like, okay, I saw this coming. But working on the project, just to like let go of all the static and stuff that came afterwards, was incredible. Being in the process of telling a story, post-production, production, working with an editor, it felt great, watching my work come together on screen, the sounds, the writing the script and everything come together was an amazing feeling. So I'm not going to say it was all negative, but creating it was great, and I felt that I achieved something. But at the end of it, when I now wanted to get out there for people to see my work, now that has been the most painful part of the process, because I've been judged and scrutinized for my personality rather than my work, which is so unfortunate. And that is what I always knew would happen, even though we're in the 21st century, where I think people should look beyond petty stuff and just try to see the positive in what I'm trying to do, in being a progressive person, in being someone who's avant-garde. I don't know if I'll consider myself avant-garde, but I do admire people that are avant-garde, like who push the boundaries. Talking about people like Madonna or Christina Aguilera, Lady Gaga. These are people that don't play by the rules, and they've become iconic because of what they've created. But here, especially in the North, when you're like that, you're considered strange, taboo, all kinds of negative stuff. But in different parts of the world, you're lauded when you're that way. You're considered brave and incredible. But I'm in a society that doesn't really adapt and embrace change and what it means to be a nonconformist. I'm not rebellious. I'm just someone who's going with the times and moving with the century that we're in, but I think that's a bit too much. Like I said, so complex, my story. That's why I said it's not something that I can talk about in a few minutes interview. This is something that, it's a long story that has to be told in chapters, I would think. But life back then was not how it is right now. But it's always been complicated because you're from a polygamous home. That's the truth. I think anybody that grows up in a polygamous home watching will know what I'm talking about. And a royal home, it's never uncomplicated. It's always complicated. It's always complex. There's always intrigues. There's always you've got so many kids. You've got so many women. It's a different ball game. It's like it's about the survival of the fittest, But when the patriarch is alive, which was my dad, everyone is going to act in a certain way. They're not going to come out with their true colors and prove that, okay, we hate this one or against this, because of course this is his choice. He's the, one leading the family. So everyone is going to be on their best behavior as much as they can be. But behind the scenes, yeah, things are happening, but it's never going to be as bad as when he's no more there, when he's gone. So a few years before he died, I was noticing a lot of negativity from his sons, his elder sons, who were supposed to now be the new patriarchs. But they weren't this obvious about their resentment towards me and my mom and my brother. But you could see, it was coming up. But when he died, it became just blatantly obvious that, okay, these people have always detested our very existence. That's how I can describe what's going on right now and what's been going on for the past decade since he died. My dad had lots of kids, and definitely were amongst the youngest, because when he died, he was 83, a few years to 84. When my mom met my dad, she was quite young, out of secondary school, 18. And he was in his 50s then. Even his sons are older than my mom. Yeah, some of his sons are definitely older than my mom. So we're definitely amongst the youngest of his kids. And when you're the youngest, of course you can fight the eldest. They have the power, they have the control. So they're going to show you who's in charge. And that's exactly what's going on. They had a young ingenue, young woman who was in their father's life. So I guess they're kind of showing that they were not happy about that. But I don't know why the men who are like old enough to be my dad, why they're so threatened by a young woman like me. I don't know what it's about me that just really gets them riled up, that makes them want to put me in such danger and shame me. It's like my shame gives them pleasure. It's like when I'm talking about stuff that is so embarrassing, it's like that gives them pleasure, like, and look at the strong lady, look at the feminist now, she's down, and look at what you're doing. So I think when I'm talking like that, I'm trending for stuff like that, that kind of gives them great pleasure and say, yeah, look at you now. I think that's the kind of man I'm dealing with. I want to see a woman down, not a woman with a voice. Yeah, well, my dad, the thing with my dad is he's not someone that spoiled his kids. A lot of people feel he was someone that, no. He wasn't that kind of man. I'm not going to lie. He's someone that he disciplined, and he didn't really feel the need to spoil his kids and do stuff. Like, he had a great life. He had the Rolls Royces, he had the Bentleys, he had the Rolex wristwatches, the designer sunglasses. He was a flashy king and all that. But with his kids, he wasn't that way, to tell you the truth. I know it's hard to believe, but he wasn't really the kind of man who spoiled his kids excessively. No. That wasn't him. My mom was actually more of someone who spoiled me more than my dad, to tell you the truth. And one of my dad's brothers, the late Tijani Hashim, he was a man who was very generous, and I know the North will attest to that. This was a very generous to his family, to a lot of people in the North. So he was someone who actually was the one who spoiled us excessively than my dad. So, he would get us pizzas, he would buy us chocolates, he would come to our home and then bring us clothes and gifts. He was more, he would say, oh, your dad, you know him, so let's spoil the kids. He was the one that was actually really the man that would really spoil us more than our dad. So yeah, that's the kind of man my dad was. He didn't really believe in spoiling his kids that much, to tell you the truth. But the older ones, at a point, got more, an upper hand in his wealth. Like the deposed emir of Bichi, Bayero, became in charge of his estate at a point, and his whole assets were with him. People say, oh, Nasser is so rich and so successful, but the truth is my father's wealth is what he was in charge of, and that's what gave him so much comfort and wealth. I want them to let me have a little peace. I want them to let me live my life in peace. I want them to just let me move on and stop the sabotage, stop the oppression, stop putting me in danger, to stop shaming me, to stop embarrassing me, and that's just what I want, to stop this whole drama of making me feel so hopeless, of making me post a video in the middle of the night with nowhere to go. I just want them to let me live a normal life, let me have the peace to take care of my mom and my junior brother. If they don't want to be responsible, fine, but no need sabotaging me and stopping me from getting help from any way I can. People have called me names. They've said derogatory stuff about me, calling me lazy, calling me entitled. They don't know what I'm going through. So it's easy to judge when you're not in someone's shoes. But this situation is happening. I'm from a powerful home. I shouldn't be in this situation yet. That statement is going to be seen as entitled. As usual, I'm going to be judged for everything I say. I guess that's what comes with being in the spotlight. So I'm going to be used to it. But my brothers contributed to me being in this danger. I remember during the COVID, Nasser said, I would never deliberately put you in danger. I will never put you on the street because I love you. But that night when I did that video, his words haunted me. I was like, you said something and I'm exactly in that situation that you said you won't let me be in. You left me to the dogs. You left me prey to predators. No matter what, I think an older brother, when a father dies, you should protect your sister from danger, from being in a position that could lead to her being in danger. Even if you don't like me, you don't like the fact that I was born, but just the fact that I'm your father's child, just the fact that I'm a woman, you have daughters. Just think of the fact that this is a young woman. How would you feel if I was your daughter? I'm your sister. I'm your half-sister. You might not like that. You might not like that another woman is my mother. But there's nothing you can do to change that. I'm here. I exist. There's a reason for me being alive. But for you to deliberately create a scenario where I'm in danger and you don't care, the video is going all over the world. You don't even care to understand why did this happen? Why are you doing this? What's going on? What can I do? If you don't want to, fine, but just let me have a little peace. You say you want to be a king. Aminu Ado claims he's the rightful emir. Why was he deposed? Your sister is out there in the cold with no home, with no education, and you want to rule over 20 million people in Kano. Is he really fit to rule when he can't even keep his own father's kids safe? Can he keep the people of Kano safe? If this kind of situation occurs, maybe a family come to him with this kind of situation and say, oh, a polygamous home, their older brother has left their younger siblings without a home, without any safety. And what would he say as the Emir of Kano when he's doing the same thing? That's hypocrisy at its highest. I don't know. Nigerians should decide. Kano should decide if that's the kind of man they want to rule them. Of course he did. It's always the same thing. You'll be fine. We'll do it. We'll take care of you. We'll be fine, but nothing happens. It's just words. Him and Nasiru, his brother, they are the deposed kings who are fighting to come back to the throne. Yeah. They were both enthroned the same day. Now they're both deposed, unfortunately. Yeah, we saved some money up, and me and my mom, we came up with a way to do it the way we could, and it was standard. And it was very difficult, but we thought that this would be a great way to, start life. And I thought I would be able to get it to Netflix or Prime or any streaming platforms, but that wasn't, the journey has been crazy. Really, it's been a crazy journey. I was not able to get it up to those streaming platforms or recoup my investment. Yeah, I've been to several aggregators. They said, there's no direct link to Netflix. I've been to aggregators, and I always hear that, okay, Netflix isn't interested in something like this. They don't do documentaries, which is not true. I see countless documentaries on Netflix and Prime. I'm not going to mention their names, but a lot of them in the industry, they know themselves. Either we're not interested, they are not going to be interested in documentaries, or, oh no, they're not really into northern stories. Stuff like that, so I just decided, okay, the gatekeepers don't want me in, so I decided to just, okay, let me just lay off. There's a lot of complex situations in Nigeria where we're just so divided in tribal differences, religious differences. Some people tell me, no, it's a northern story, go to the north. Does that make sense? It's a universal story. I don't know, when they say so, it kind of even shocks me. Like, why are you bringing tribe into something? You don't bring tribe into art. You don't bring religion or tribe into creativity. But in Nigeria, we do that a lot, and it's quite unfortunate. Anatu Musawa, yeah, I met her in Lagos here at the Miss Universe pageant that happened a few months ago. She was there, I was there. So I approached her and she gave me an appointment, and I saw her in Lagos and I talked about it. And her answer to me was that she wouldn't be involved because my brothers wouldn't be happy with her, which was very, very surprising to me, because I figured that as a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, she shouldn't answer to anyone but to the oath of her office and to the Federal Republic and to creative citizens. I'm a creative. What the story I'm telling is culture, it's history. This is like also a tourism piece for Kano. So I don't understand why a minister should feel uncomfortable with my project. That it's not exactly my project that she's uncomfortable with, but she's not comfortable with stepping on the toes of the powerful emir of Bichi and Kano, Aminu and Nasiru Bayero. So I was like, okay. She said she would want their permission. I said, but I don't think they own the Ministry of Culture. Their money is not in the Ministry of Culture, it's the Federal Republic. And as a creative and the daughter of the emir, I have a right to my father's story. So I don't understand why a minister, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, should feel the need to take permission from men in the turban. I thought we're in a democracy. But that's the answer I got. So I think I have to say, I think I deserve an award for bravery for speaking up against Nasir Bayero and Aminu Bayero, because if the Minister of Culture and Tourism in Nigeria can be so uncomfortable with offending them, I guess, well, they believe they're too powerful, but I don't fear any man. I don't feel that I need to bow down or be scared of any man. Even if I'm not in the government, I don't have an office, I'm not a federal minister, but I don't feel fear. A lot of people said I should, but I don't, because I don't think any man should have the right to intimidate me or take my voice. No matter what they feel, I'm also a Bayero. I'm my father's daughter, and I'm not scared of them. They can't intimidate me. They can't intimidate everyone else not to help me. They want to break me, but I'm still standing. The fact that when my dad died 10 years ago, I told you we were cut off from his inheritance, assets, his estate. So that's when it really began. But at some point, like my mom's uncle, the late Tony Momo, may he so rest in peace. There was a time he helped us get a place for a year. There was another time that some people would plead with my father's sons to help. They would help. Maybe after 8-9 months of pleading with them, they will give us something little that will get a place for a year to aspire again, and we'll be on the journey. So it's been going on for a decade, but this last 2 years, it's even gotten worse. And yes, the Kano State governor came to our aid in June. Yeah, I guess in June. And the news was there that he gave 10 million. It wasn't 10 million he gave me upfront. It was in installments. When he came, he settled the debt at the hotel, which was 2.5. Waited somewhere else for a couple of weeks. They paid for there again. I think I've spoken about this in other publications. It wasn't 10 million given to us at once. It was during a period of time that it was given, and it wasn't all given to me in my account, 10 million cash. That's the truth. But if you calculate it together, yes, it's 10 million. And I didn't see the governor one-on-one. And then I gave an interview. I reached out to him again. I said, this is not enough for us to buy a home. We need to buy a home. We need to get my brother to school. And then that was when there was this backlash that I'm against the governor. I'm greedy. I squandered 10 million in a month. The story was flipped on me. I'm not going to be negative to the governor. I think he's a nice man. I thought he was trying to do the right thing. I still hope he wants to do the right thing, because as a citizen of Kano, and my father ruling Kano for 51 years, and he says that he cares about education. My brother is out of school. He's from Kano. It's not about him being a prince, but he's from Kano citizen, and he gives other citizens of Kano scholarships, and he helps them. So I thought that he would want to help more. And recently I saw a statement on Twitter about someone saying that he helped and Ganduje helped. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje never helped me. We saw him once when my mom's uncle, Tony Momo, was alive. He told him to help us. We saw him in Asukoro. He gave us 100,000 for transport, and that was it. If that's the help they're talking about, maybe, but he never helped us get to home or helped us financially in any way. But yes, the current governor, Abdul Kabir Yusuf, that helped he offered. I've said he did. I've not lied about that. I have no reason to lie. And that's what happened. But this has been going on for years, not having a permanent base, not having a permanent home. And it's getting really, really tough and dangerous. And 2 days ago, my mom was in the ER. The situation broke her down. She was so sick. I had to rush her to the hospital because her heart, she was just in serious pain. It was dangerous. I was afraid I was going to lose her. And that's the reason that I was even given that. I uploaded that video. And unfortunately, like 12 hours later, my mom had an attack and I had to rush her to the ER. I even posted the video on my Instagram. because I think people actually think I make these things up. So I put it up there on my Instagram page about how I've been in the hospital. It was so scary and terrifying. And I had to let people know I'm not. People said, why are you doing this? Why are you a princess putting yourself out there? Why are you doing this? You're so intelligent. You're a young woman. You can do anything. Yes, I can do anything, but how can I do it when I'm not given the opportunity? You don't start with sand. You start with something. You start with money. You start living with a certain amount, then you can live your life. But if you don't have those tools, how do you start? And that's exactly what I'm going through. I'm not enjoying this. I don't enjoy putting myself. It's not like this. I enjoy. This is not fame to me. It's embarrassing to me. I'm a very private person. I never thought that I would do this. Do people think I actually grew up thinking, oh, okay, when I grow up, I want to post myself on social media saying that I need a home? No, nobody dreams of that. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to put themselves out there in such embarrassing situations, especially from the kind of background that I come from. It takes a lot for me to do that. I do that because I have no choice. I can't die in this situation, and I can't kill people, and I can't do sinful acts to survive. That's not me. So that's why instead I ask for help. People say you're begging. It's not begging. I look at the Michael Bolton song. It said, lean on me when you're not strong. And that's just what I'm doing. The lyrics of the song just speak so true. He said, we all need somebody to lean on sometimes. It's not going to be forever. But sometimes you just want to, you just need help. You just need a shoulder to cry on. You just need someone to tell you, it's okay, I'm here for you. How can I help you? What do you want? What do you need? Then when you have that help, one day you pay it forward. That's one movie. That's one of my favorite movies too. It's called Pay It Forward, where in the movie, a little boy gets up and decides to create this movement where when he helps someone, he tells that person, help 3 people. When you help 3 people, that other person tells him to help 3 people, and they keep paying it forward. So I think that's the world we should live in, where when someone needs help or asks for help, you help. And when that person has the opportunity to stand up, he also helps other people, and the world becomes a better place. But I don't think we should be in a world where someone asks for help or is in danger and you shame the person or belittle the person or call the person names. No, I think we should be our brother's keeper. Even in the Quran, that's how we're taught, that your neighbor, your brother, anybody, you clothe them, you try to feed them, you try to give them shelter. If someone comes to your home and says, I don't have a home, you say, come in and stay if you're comfortable until you can get on your feet. But to be calling me names and saying I'm entitled, I'm begging, that's not it. I'm just a young woman who's in a very difficult situation, who's trying to survive, and it's not easy, especially from the kind of background that I was born into and the sabotage that I'm going through. I'm against a patriarchy. I'm a woman who's fighting a patriarchal society where men feel they need to control you and enslave you. And I'm saying no to that. So that's why I'm in this situation. But people don't get the full picture. Like I said, I guess my memoir is going to be a great story to tell. It's not about being entitled. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I'm not lazy. I'm not looking for freebies or whatever they call it. I'm just asking for okay, I'm the daughter of Bayero. I have a brother, his name is Ahmed. If I'm a lady, they feel that I don't have a right to my father's inheritance, which I do. What about my brother? He's a boy. He's a son of Bayero. He's a son of the house of Dabo. Why should he be denied a part of my father's estate? My father's estate is enough to even help normal citizens in Nigeria. Why would his own biological kids not be able to have a right to his estate? Or even the Kano Emirate. There's an emirate in Kano, and we're part of that emirate. Why can't the emirate help us in this situation? I'm not feeling entitled. I'm just asking for what's mine. Any child in the world deserves to inherit what's theirs. And my brother is out of school. He's been out of school for a decade. I've been saying this in newspapers, in interviews. He deserves to go to school. I didn't get a degree. Like I said before, certain circumstances led to that. My brother also, when my dad died, he was in SS1. And after that, because of the situation, going from place to place, the homeless situation, our unfortunate situation, he couldn't further his education. And he deserves to have a degree. He wants to be an engineer. He loves anything that has to do with engineering, cars, stuff like that. He loves to read. He's also a history buff, just like my dad was. He's someone who loves to educate himself also, but he's not given that opportunity. I wasn't given that opportunity without an education, without a degree. I said I wanted to be a lawyer at some point, but I couldn't achieve that dream. So what am I going to do? What kind of job am I supposed to do? At the same time, I've not gone into filmmaking. A lot of people who are even lawyers, who studied certain subjects in school, go into the creative aspects of life. I'm naturally a creative. I write. I love to create. So why can't I be supported to be creative? As a filmmaker, I can be supported by the ministry, by the federal government to create more. And my project, which is about my father, which is a great project for Nigeria. This is a way to teach even the future generations about history. With this documentary, more people will be inspired to tell stories about great historical figures in Nigeria and Africa, because my father was a great historical figure in Africa. But this is a great story, but it's been sabotaged by my father's sons. The same people who should even encourage his story to be told are sabotaging their own father's story because it's told by me, a woman, Zainab. I'm the daughter of the princess from Auchi. I don't deserve to tell the story. I'm not the person who's supposed to tell it, but nobody else has told it. I didn't stop anyone. I came up with the idea myself. So I don't know what I'm doing so wrong. Why my documentary, which is a job as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people are filmmakers in the world, Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino. I also want to be a filmmaker, a female voice telling stories, African stories, different stories. This is the path I'm now on. This is my passion. This is what I want to do. But I'm not getting the support. I'm being sabotaged for every step I take. My education was sabotaged. Now I've gone into a profession that I'm passionate about. Once again, they're sabotaging me. I'm telling a story about a great monarch, about my father, which I have a right to tell. I'm not a woman who's lazy. I don't feel entitled. If I felt entitled, I wouldn't have produced and directed a documentary. I wouldn't have gone into filmmaking. Other princesses in the north and even other parts, they don't even go into movie making. You don't hear them doing anything because they have everything at their disposal. They have homes, they have cars, they have everything. Even my father's other kids, they're fine. But I was denied what belonged to my brother and I. And so I decided to create, to do what I'm passionate about. And that's filmmaking. I love to write. And I decided that this is a way forward for me. But at the same time, I was sabotaged once more for God knows what reasons. Because like I said, it's like my very existence is a problem for my father's sons, for my father's family. It's like they're just against the fact that my mom met my dad and that my dad fell in love with her and that I came to be. But it's destiny. It's Allah's will that I was born. No one can change it. I'm here, I'm alive. My brother is alive also. We're the daughter and son of Bayero and Princess Hawa Momo, and there's nothing that can erase that. It's part of Kano's history now. But I think that that's my crime. I think that they feel that my very birth is not right, and that's not true. They have no right to judge how I was born or how I came to be or the two people that created me or how I was created. And that's so wrong. And that's exactly what they're doing. My brother deserves a chance to have an education, to have a chance to be who he wants to be, to fulfill his destiny. He's a good boy. It's just because he doesn't have the tools. He's so depressed. This is a boy who loves to read. This is a boy who loves to write, who is so gentle and quiet and calm and respectful. He has never said anything wrong against these brothers, even in private, to me or my mom. He has never insulted my father's sons. He has never insulted them in any way. He has never judged them. All he wants is a chance to live a normal life. There are men, he's also a young man, but they're taking away his rights because he's young and he doesn't have the money and it's so unfair. How can they be doing this to us? Why? Why do we deserve this? Why do we deserve to be on the streets? Why are we being punished? The reason I put up that video was because I was exhausted. I didn't care about the shame. I didn't care about the bullying anymore because I just didn't know what to do. Because for 24 hours, we had not laid down. We were weak. My mom was weak. I didn't know what to do. So I decided I have to scream. I have to shout to be saved, to be rescued. I'm not begging. I'm just asking to be saved from dying on the streets. My mom, 12 hours after I put up that video, I had to rush my mom to the ER because she suffered an attack. I had to rush her to the hospital. It was terrifying. I was in the hospital with her. I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew it's the stress that caused it. At that point, I didn't even know the video was going viral. Someone called me while I was in the hospital scared for my mom that you put up a video on Insta and everyone is talking about it. I didn't even know that it was up or that everyone was already talking about it. All I cared about at that point was that my mom is in the hospital. And then when she was finally responding and she was getting better, they were monitoring her and her heart because she was so stressed. The next day, when we left the hospital, we didn't know where we would go again. I just want an opportunity for my mom, myself, and my brother to have a normal life. It's just crazy. I don't know what to do. I don't know what is going on. What's happening with us is a tragedy. I'm not enjoying this. I don't enjoy putting my personal life out there for the world to dissect and scrutinize and judge. But it's because I don't want to end up dead. I don't want to end my life because there comes to a point when you're just feeling completely hopeless. And I've been feeling depressed for months now. And it's getting too much. The pressure of going on, it's just too much. It's extreme. We don't have a home. We don't have any means of survival. It's just, it's crazy. And I don't have any choice but to speak up because I don't have any other means to survive. And I'm in danger. That's the truth. My life is in danger. My life is not a normal situation. It's not a normal circumstance. That's what people should understand, that I come from a powerful home and the men of that emirate are against me. I don't have any money. I don't have anything. I don't have the protection of anyone to fight back. All I have is my voice. And that's why I'm fighting back. That I need to be saved. That we need to be rescued. For this interview, the stylist had to give me this outfit. It's embarrassing saying it because our whole properties are not even with us. They were seized. I think I said it in the video before. So that's what I'm going through. That's what my family, that's the situation we find ourselves. It's shameful. It's embarrassing, even me saying this. I don't want to say all these things, but I have no choice. I'm a very shy person. I'm not someone who likes to talk about my personal life. my personal situation, about being in this kind of situation. Like I said, it's shameful, and my shame gives them pleasure. This is what they want from me. To call me a beggar, to call me a beggar princess, to call me a lazy girl, to call me all sorts of names. When people are criticizing me, saying mean stuff, yeah, I'm sure they get pleasure and they're laughing at me. I'm like, yeah, this is what we want. This is exactly what we want you to do. This is what we want you to feel. To be ashamed of yourself, to feel embarrassed. I am embarrassed. I can't even sleep. I don't eat. I can't focus on anything because I feel so ashamed. I'm so helpless. I'm having sleepless nights. I'm having all sorts of thoughts. I feel so disoriented sometimes. I don't know how to go on like this. And at the same time, I'm being judged when I'm in such a difficult situation. I'm being bullied online. Yeah, I know that's the world we live in right now, where anyone can write anything they feel like and say whatever they want to about you, because it makes them feel good, or they don't care about what you're feeling. But what you say about someone hurts. What you say to someone, the personal stuff you say about someone, can affect a person psychologically, mentally, and make that person even end things. A lot of people have committed suicide due to social media bullying, and the emotional trauma of this bullying has been affecting me for months. This is the third time I'm going viral on social media. The first time, I didn't even talk about my personal issues. I didn't talk about the fact that I'm going through homelessness or anything like this. I just talked about the documentary, and I was being judged for the way I dressed. I was being bullied online for that. The second time, it was about the governor helping me, and again, I was bullied. I was judged. Now the third time, I'm being judged again for being hopeless. There's nothing I do that is okay. I'm always judged. I'm always being bullied. I don't know why. I don't know if Nigerians don't see the painful side of what I'm going through, but I don't know why I'm always being judged and bullied every time I'm online. Whether I'm talking about my project, whether I'm talking about my personal life, all I'm ever being is judged for one reason or the other. But nobody's judging the men. Nobody's judging the dethroned emir of Kano, Bayero, or Bayero for doing this to their father's kids. I think it's okay for men to do what they like. But when the woman complains, she's always wrong. Anywhere in the world is like that. The woman, when she complains, they always say, no, she's lying. But later on, when they see the truth, they regret their actions. That's what's happening with me right now. No one is blaming the men. It's all my fault. The men are the victims, right? I'm just judging and I'm lying. But that's not the case. And I'm not trying to play the victim. I'm just trying to express myself and say that I need to survive. I need to stop being enslaved by men, by a society, by a patriarchy. That I'm a modern woman and I want to live in a modern world, and I want to make my own choices, and I want to live a normal life. But this is not the life that I want. This is not the life that I wish to have. I don't enjoy doing this. This is not what I wanted. I'm not proud of this. I want to create. I want to write more stories. I want to do more movies. I want to live a normal life. I want to give my mom peace. I want to buy a home. I want to earn my own living. I do want to do that. I'm not the kind of royal who feels entitled. No, that's not it. I'm just trying to survive, but I can't survive when I'm being sabotaged. That's what I want people to understand, that I'm being sabotaged, I'm being oppressed, that my very existence is a problem, that I'm being psychologically and mentally tortured to end it. That this homelessness, this sabotage against everything I do, the lack of education, the lack of the means to survive, that's the way they're torturing us to give up on life. That's the way they're torturing us to end it. And that's what I want people to understand. I'm strong, my mom is strong, my brother is strong. If we were not strong, we won't be here today. My brother, he's so weak, he's so ashamed, he doesn't know what to do, but he's staying on because of my mom and I. He loves us so much, and that's why he's holding on. But it's getting tougher every day. It's getting harder. Like I said, my mom was in the hospital the other night. After I posted the video, she was in the ER because it's also getting to her. This can't go on. That's why you see I keep speaking out. I'm not enjoying this. This is not fame for me. I'm not doing this for fame. This is not fame. This is not what I want. I just want a normal life. So that's why I'm asking that the Kano State Governor, Abba Kabir Yusuf, being also a member of the Kano Royal Home, should look into this as a citizen of Kano and as someone who is also part of my family. He came before, and thank him for that, but I think he should look into this once more and end it. I'm also appealing to people who were friends of my dad, or who admired him, or who even if they never knew my dad, but who feel my pain, who feel the pain of a young woman who wants to live a life and achieve her dreams. That's just all I'm asking for. I'm appealing to President Ahmed Bola Tinubu to please intervene into this situation. I believe he's a father. He would know what it feels like for a girl to be going through this. I know he has a relationship with my father's sons. I don't know what they're saying, but I hope he finds it in his heart to do what's right. Because we are going through hell. And I hope this story will change. And I hope that anyone in any part of the world will feel the need to change our story to a better story.